Sir, sir. Hi. Hello, sir. Hi, sweet boy. Hi, little cupcake boy. Can you... Oh, hello. Oh, my. Wow. What great content. What is up, JoJo C1ators? Basically, there's some information I need to just cover with you regarding this video real speedy quick. One, you're gonna hear some voices in the background because I did not realize the conversation of the people at the swimming pool outside of my building was thataudible.com when I had my windows open. Two, this video is quite late. I filmed it on September 2nd, but other videos just got in the way. However, to my knowledge, all the information I presented in it is still true to this moment in time. So if you will check the court stenographer's records, I did not in fact perjure myself, Your Honor. Enjoy the video. Guys, I have some really exciting news. I think that this is the fastest I've ever stolen a video idea from Georgia Harris. Yep, it was uploaded 2 hours ago and I'm already sitting down to film my plagiarized version of it. Thanks, Georgia! And also Makeup Struggles for collaborating. This is going to be a video that was thought up by Makeup Struggles and Georgia Harris, who are both people I extremely vibe with in this community. This is going to be a video about makeup brands that I have never tried before. Some of them I want to try, some of them I have no interest in trying. I'm excited to do this video, in addition to it being a cool concept, also because it's giving me the opportunity to shoehorn in a semi-controversial video idea that I thought of a couple months ago and was too afraid to do an entire video on. And that is the products from makeup brands that I have chosen not to support that I would buy if I wasn't such a social justice harpy about them. I prefer the term social justice harpy to social justice warrior because I'm not a warrior. You know, I don't move ever, but I sure do yell. I've separated this list into 3 categories. Brands I want to try, brands that I've owned things from before, but like not the thing that they're more popular for. Like if a brand is super known for their eyeshadow palettes, maybe I had a lipstick or some such. And brands that I want to try, but probably won't. Let's start with the positivity and then work our way into negativity. Brands that I would like to try. Most of these brands are indie brands because these are the brands that it's hardest for me to have direct contact with because I can't just walk into a Sephora or an Ulta and try them myself. The first brand that I would really like to try is the brand Strobe Cosmetics, which I heard about primarily because of their creepy cute eyeshadow palette. I'd never heard of this brand before hearing it get discussed, and now every time I think about potential palettes to buy, it crosses my mind. It takes little steps across my cerebral cortex. I think this shade range in this palette is like sick nasty, and I love supporting indie brands, especially ones that are vegan and cruelty free. That's fantastic. I'm going through the positive stuff first because I know it's gonna go by pretty quickly. You know I'm a succubus who thrives off of negativity. Or whatever, you feel me? Next up is a brand that recently has been talked about a whole bunch on beauty YouTube, and that brand is Beauté, because they released a bundle of 4 palettes that everybody was kind of like weirdly judgmental about, I saw. You could kind of make connections between the shades in those palettes and like established popular palettes. Everyone was like, this looks like some Hush app bad habit knockoff, which I will talk about. I thought the palettes are really cool. I considered buying them, but never did. And the reason why I never really felt judgmental about them or reserved about them is because Beauté has a first palette that's been out for I think a year and a half now that I remember seeing on Instagram a while ago. And I was actually able to swatch this in person because it's stocked at my favorite place in the world, which is where? Ricky's NYC. So every time I go in there, I see this palette. It's called the Quintessential Eyeshadow Palette. It's $38.99 and it's currently out of stock on their website. But I've swatched it and been impressed with it, and also it has stunning outer packaging and I think it's really cool. So I had high hopes for these palettes. Obviously I don't have them, but I would really like to have something from this brand because I think its whole aesthetic is lovely and I really like the colors that they picked up on their palettes. I'm very fascinated with them. Next up is a brand that I swear to God is at this point reaching Juvia's Place levels of being talked about by every single micro influencer in my community. Sometimes it feels like Juvia's Place is the Morphe of the small creator community here on beauty YouTube. Everybody who is a small creator in beauty YouTube seems to have some sort of hard opinion on Juvia's Place. Either they don't vibe with it, or they have every single Juvia's Place palette and have like post notifications turned on for their Instagram so they know when the next one is gonna drop. I'm talking about Xuri Cosmetics. Xuri, not Xuri, sorry. The Xuri palette from Xuri Cosmetics is stunning on the outside and the inside. I think about it all the time. I think that this is a really great palette. I love the idea of supporting a cruelty-free Black-owned brand. That's fantastic for me and my principles. 36 pounds. My checking account's not gonna like that, but we'll see. I might get it in the future. And this is another brand that I'm very curious to see what else they launch moving forward. To my knowledge, this is still a very a youthful brand, a young brand. They haven't been around. They maybe are halfway around the block, but they're not all the way around the block, you know what I'm saying? Next up, another brand that I'm very interested in trying is Black Moon Cosmetics. I've never even touched anything from this brand. I think their aesthetic is really cool and fun and awakens the little tiny goth baby inside of my soul. I also really appreciate that they sued Jeffree Star and Manny MUA. Warms like the petty ventricle of my heart. I think they make beautiful lipsticks and highlighters. Their packaging is absolutely stunning. It's like a little bit more like an elegant version of Kat Von D in terms of packaging. This is, to my knowledge, kind of an expensive brand. Definitely up there for a highlighter, and also I have so many highlighters and I just realized my windows are open, so there's probably so much background noise right now. Oops, sorry. Ugh. Boy, my goddamn strength muscles. That was the positivity out of the way. Let's talk about brands that I'm semi-interested in, that I've owned a product or two from, but not the product that most people associate with that brand. First brand is Urban Decay. I've never owned any eyeshadow from Urban Decay. I came very close with the Back Talk palette. I came even closer with the Naked Heat palette. Just never pulled the trigger, and I don't really think I'm ever going to. It just seems like Urban Decay's eyeshadow formula is subject to a bit of variance. It seems like it's a bit inconsistent. It just seems like an unnecessary thing for me to actually pursue trying, especially when there's like this long list of indie brands that I just went through that I'm interested in like really experiencing. Trying a brand that is super established that I know is going to be in a similar price range, it's just like, why not try out the indie brands, you know? If I were going to own an Urban Decay palette, I probably would by now. And it's sad because when I was like 13, Urban Decay was everything to me. Every time I would saunter into Sephora and get judged by the employees because I would never buy anything because I was a wee lass, I would beeline to Urban Decay. I'd put on like a neon turquoise eyeliner and the lickable body powders. Then I'd head over to Tarte, put on those chubby cheek tints, and then I'd be out and I'd be like, I'm the most beautiful I've ever been. Just imagine me in like a PacSun or a Delia's in 2008 with turquoise smeared on my eyelids and just a sticky splotch of like purple cheek tint, every single perfume sprayed on every inch of my body. Just like, hi, do you have this graphic tee in an extra large? Like, next up, another brand that I've like owned something from, I have mild interest towards their eyeshadows, is Makeup Revolution. The only Makeup Revolution or Meh product I've owned is one of their knockoffs of the Cover FX highlighter drops. It was fine, whatever. Have kind of a moral quandary about brands that are like kind of dupe brands, kind of knockoff plagiarism brands. I'll talk about those more in a second, in the last part of this video. Do you mind? Do you have to do that right now? Their original palettes, like the ones that they conceive of themselves, I think are interesting, but I've never cared too much about them. The Emily Edit ones with Emily Noel are the closest I've ever... Are those PVC pipes, my guy? This has to happen in the parking lot. So I don't know if I will ever try Makeup Revolution. Also, if I actually bought the Emily Edit palette and then reviewed it, I would be asking for the Emily Noel stans to be all up in my comment sections. And I don't think I want that. It's just very welcoming and relaxing. I just don't want the stans. And ending up this middle chapter of the video, Morphe. This is a brand that I don't really want to try. And when I say try, I mean their eyeshadows. I own a brush set from Morphe that I got off of Outlook for like $8 and had 12 brushes in it. I think it's fantastic. I've never been unsatisfied with any of my Morphe brushes, truthfully. I've washed them at least once and they're still fine. The eyeshadow palettes are obviously the thing that is the lightning rod for criticism and praise on beauty YouTube. The big palettes though, the 35 pans, I've mentioned before how I used to like dream about the 35O palette. Back when it first launched in like 2015, I was like, that's gonna be it. That's gonna be the palette that changes my life. Looking at them now, I can't imagine how they're useful to most people, because they're all like 4 rows of brown, and then if it's like the 35 purple or the 35 orange or the 35 blue, it's like here's 7 shades of that color. Have fun with all your browns. Why would you ever want to have more than one Morphe palette? Someone who has a ton of Morphe palettes and a lot more time than me should really go through them all and see how all the shades of brown overlap, because it has to be like the worst Venn diagram imaginable. And then the vaults, actually, if they were done by a different brand, probably. I think the color range of the new Jaclyn Hill vaults was like really cool, but I don't know if Morphe really handled that well. Hot take. No, thank you. Go over there. Let's move into the last chapter. And it's not all shade. Some of these are just brands that I probably won't end up trying. Why don't we start with the brands that have products that I think are interesting, but I have, for one reason or another, decided not to support said brand. The first brand is canceled Von D Beauty. Listen, I thought everyone was lying when everyone was going off on how flattering Lolita, the liquid lipstick, was on everybody. I was like, there's no way I'm actually gonna like how this looks. And then I put it on in a Sephora and I was like, oh my God, I look like a sexy 90s babe? My so-called life? Oh. Our eyeshadow palettes, I thought Saint and Sinner was like sick. I thought the Metal Matte was really cool. I have always had kind of a chip on my shoulder about the Pastel Goth palette because I didn't think it quite well enough represented the Pastel Goth subculture that I violently wanted to be a part of when I was a freshman in college. I've never owned anything from Kat Von D except for one sample of a lipstick that I never used that came in a Sephora favorite scam. Sorry, oh my God. Cat, Sephora favorites, cat. Getting my autumn cold, clearly. The next brand is Kylie Cosmetics and KKW. The brands KKW and Kylie just seem like they're very overpriced for like not great stuff. Kylie at least seems like that she has products of some decent quality. I've never really seen anyone talk positively about anything from KKW, to be quite honest. Her makeup is like super basic and boring to me. I just never quite had an interest in it. And I don't really like Kim Kardashian as a person, so like whatever. That's really all I need to say about either of those. Jefferson Celestial Body Cosmetics. I don't think it's wildly necessary for me to rehash all the reasons a person might dislike good old J-Star, but I am one of the people who don't, and I've never bought anything from the brand, never tried anything. But I will say this, I think the Androgyny palette is really cool. I think that the lipsticks look very fun. The other palettes, I don't know. There's something about the Blood Sugar palette that I think is just ugly. I think it's the fact that there's like that gray that's right between the purple and pink aesthetically to me with the red backdrop that I don't like the color combination at all, and it's just ugly to me. I also didn't like the Thirsty palette very much. Objectively, not because I'm a hater. I just didn't like the shades in it, okay? But yeah, if things were different, like maybe if we just lived in a different world, I would change my tune, but we live in this world and my tune remains the same. Toot toot, let's move on. Then following are brands that I don't have quite hard negative opinions on. Actually, that's not true, because the next one is The Ordinary. Listen, man, I like the idea of very, very inexpensive skincare because I'm super cheap and my pores are huge and I wanted a BHA or an AHA or an STD, DHA or MVP or whatever is supposed to shrink your pores. And then the CEO of Decay, which is the brand that owns The Ordinary, had to go and like while out on the internet every day and say just really weird, bizarre I don't even know all the things that he said. I just know don't really want to support him with my money, even though The Ordinary is so cheap. It'd be like, I don't really want to give him this $5, but like that's still $5 more. I haven't bought anything from The Ordinary. Also, everything they make is always sold out all the time, so I haven't really been able to. But good gosh, he's absolutely wildin'. Not into it. I mentioned earlier in this video when I was talking about Makeup Revolution that I don't like brands that essentially just kind of like steal the orientation and color story of a palette and make their own. And that's kind of why, or it's exactly why, I'm not keen on trying Face Candy and Bad Habit, which are 2 brands that are available on the website Hush. It's kind of a complicated subject matter for me because I'm very into the idea of accessible makeup. I think we should all be able to try makeup regardless of how much dinero we have to our names. But also, like, why not just like make your own palette? I got a comment recently that was like, oh, why don't you try Bad Habit's dupe of the Sunset palette from Natasha Nona? And I'm like, because my principals won't let me. Also, I have seen from when other smaller influencers in this community get PR from Hush, the performance of these palettes is kind of wildly inconsistent, and that's not something I vibe with. I've gleaned that Bad Habit and Face Candy are brands that will kind of like swoop in on smaller influencers and offer them like big boxes of palettes as PR. And I like that idea in theory, because I like the idea of smaller influencers getting PR, kind of. I don't want to have a hard opinion about PR, because if I start getting PR at some point, people are going to eviscerate me. Speaking as someone who makes videos, I'm still too small to get PR from pretty much anybody. But like, I would not want to get a box full of like 10 knockoff palettes. I wouldn't want to get a box full of 10 high-end, like not even high-end, but like original palettes. I don't want to get 10 palettes at once. I have like 11 palettes, and that's wildly overwhelming for me. I don't know, I have a moral quandary, moral complex, a moral qualm, QUALM, thank you, Hey Arnold, about supporting that brand. Those brands. The idea of those brands. I think that's everything. That is everything. My tube top and I thank you for watching this video. But before you leave, I'm gonna need you to do a quick favor for me. If you could go ahead, now that is the exact cadence that Mamrie Hart does You Deserve a Drink with. You could go ahead and have an amazing day for me. That's what I want from you. I want you to try to do that, because it's relevant to the title. Titles are down here. The title. Bye. It's so easy for me to just go full Cardi B with my facial expressions.